Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly demands exposure, where every thought is shared, every emotion broadcast, and every struggle posted online, I urge you to take a step back and breathe. Today, I invite you to reflect on something that's becoming rare, yet more powerful than ever: privacy. There's a quiet strength in keeping parts of your life sacred. Not secret, sacred. Because not everything that's true needs to be told, and not every wound needs to be witnessed. Sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is to say nothing at all. Sometimes, your silence is your greatest defense. We live in a time where vulnerability is sold as a badge of honor, where people are encouraged to bare their souls for likes, validation, or temporary connection. But there's a line between being authentic and being exposed. And if you don't draw that line, someone else will. And they'll do it in a way that serves them, not you. Let me be clear, your story is valuable, your pain is real, your struggles matter, but they are not public property. They do not have to be open wounds on display for the world to examine, dissect, and judge. Because not everyone who listens to you wants to help you. Some are only listening to use what you say later against you. You must learn to guard your power. And by power, I mean your emotions, your thoughts, your triggers, your inner life. This is not about living in fear, it's about living in wisdom. You are not weak for keeping things to yourself. In fact, the opposite is true. Restraint is a form of strength. Discipline is a form of power. Silence is a form of strategy. So today, this message is for every person who has felt like they needed to explain their pain to be understood. For every soul that has been burned after being too open with the wrong people. For every heart that wonders, is it wrong to keep some things to myself? The answer is no. It's not wrong. It's wise. Because the truth is, not everyone clapping is cheering for you. Not everyone who comforts you is loyal. And not everyone who listens to your pain has your healing in mind. Some people are taking notes. Not to support you, but to sabotage you. That's why it's time to move differently, think differently, protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. Over the next few parts of this message, we're going to explore what it really means to guard your weakness, preserve your power, and choose silence as your shield. You don't have to be loud to be strong. You don't have to be seen to be successful. And you don't have to be understood to be at peace. Remember, your power lies not in what you reveal, but in what you choose to protect. Are you ready? Let's begin. Hold your power. In life, the most powerful thing you can ever possess is control. Control over your emotions, your reactions, and most importantly, your personal information. You might think that being open about your weaknesses makes you relatable, makes you more authentic, but here's the hard truth. Not everyone deserves access to your vulnerability. Your weakness is not a confession for the public, it's a private part of you that should be handled with care. When you openly share your insecurities, your fears, or the things that break you, you give people a map to your soul. And once you hand over that map, you can control how they'll use it. Some might use it to hurt you, but too many will use it to hurt you. Some people don't want to understand you, they want to use you. They don't care about your pain, they care about your patterns. They'll pretend to be your friend just to get close enough to identify your soft spots. And once they do, they'll wait patiently until you're vulnerable again, until you're off balance, until they can strike where it hurts the most. That's why you must be careful. That's why you must guard your power. You see, strength isn't always loud. It's not always found in the roar of a lion. Sometimes it's in the silence of restraint. Sometimes strength is in the ability to walk through hell and not tell anyone you are burning. That kind of self-control is what sets you apart from the rest. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're struggling. You don't have to justify your journey. Your weakness is not their responsibility, it's yours. And when you own it in private, when you deal with it in solitude, you give yourself the space to grow, to process, and to heal without interference. Because once people know your triggers, your doubts, your scars, many will not respect them, they will use them. That's human nature. Not everyone, but enough to warrant your caution. The fewer people who know your wounds, the fewer who can pour salt into them. So what should you do? You turn that weakness into wisdom. You turn that pain into purpose. You use your silence as a shield and your discipline as a weapon. You walk tall with your chin up, not because you've never been broken, but because you've rebuilt yourself in silence and no one even noticed. Power is not about how much you show, it's about how much you can carry without letting the world see you stumble. So protect your peace, guard your emotions, preserve your strength. Don't tell people your weakness. Master it, transform it, and let them wonder how you keep rising, no matter what tries to pull you down. Not everyone has good intentions. Let's be clear. Not everyone who smiles at you wants the best for you. Not everyone who listens to your problems is listening out of love or concern. Some are listening out of curiosity. Some are collecting information, not to help you heal, but to use against you when the time is right. That's why you must understand this truth. Not everyone has good intentions. The world isn't filled with people who all want to see you win. In fact, the higher you climb, the more your silence is needed. Because as you elevate, so does envy. And when you show your cracks, when you show your weakness, you give those who secretly compete with you the ammunition they've been waiting for. People won't always hurt you with what you say immediately. No, some will wait, some will store your words. They'll nod and say, I understand, but deep down, they're filing your confessions in the back of their minds. And when your success becomes a threat to them, when your growth challenges their comfort, they'll use your own weakness to sabotage your progress or stain your name. It could be a coworker pretending to be a friend. It could be a family member disguising their jealousy as concern. It could be someone in your circle who claps in public but plots in private. That's why your vulnerability must be sacred. You can't expose it to just anyone. You must discern who deserves access to your truth. Trust is not a gift, it's a privilege. And it must be earned, not handed out freely. Before you open up, ask yourself, what is this person's track record? Have they shown discretion before? Have they proven that they handle information with care? Do they truly have my best interest at heart? If you can't confidently say yes, then you already have your answer. Understand this. People change. Loyalty fades. And the ones who once supported you might turn on you the moment your growth outpaces theirs. That's why self-reliance is a shield. It doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you become wise about who you share your soul with. Think of your life as a house. Your weakness is like your bedroom. It's the most intimate part of that house. Not everyone who enters the front door should be allowed to walk into that room. Some people are meant to stay in the hallway. Some are meant to stay outside altogether. Protect your peace by protecting your privacy. The less people know about your struggles, the less they can interfere with your healing. The less they know about your pain, the less power they have to manipulate it. Let them see your strength, not your strain. Let them witness your victory, not your vulnerability. Right? Because in this world, it's not always the strongest who win. It's often the wisest. And wisdom says, don't hand your weakness to someone who's still deciding how they feel about your strength. Strength is built in silence. Real strength isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like shouting from rooftops or telling the world what you've been through. Sometimes real strength is quiet. It's built in silence, in the lonely hours, behind closed doors where no one is watching. It's formed in those moments when you choose to keep going, even when it hurts, even when no one claps for you, even when no one understands. There is power in your silence. Power in keeping your struggle to yourself and allowing that pressure to build something stronger within you. The world tells you that you need to vent, to unload your emotions on others. But sometimes speaking too soon, too often, or to the wrong people weakens your focus. It gives away your energy. It scatters your power. When you speak of your weakness too freely, you start to relive it, you start to reinforce it, But when you sit with it in silence, you give yourself a chance to master it. You begin to understand it not as a defeat, but as a lesson. You learn to transform your weakness into a tool for growth. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a builder, someone who takes pain and turns it into purpose. Silence is not a lack of expression, it's a form of discipline. It's telling yourself, I don't need validation to keep going. It's knowing that your healing isn't a show for others to applaud, it's your personal, private journey. And that silence becomes sacred. It becomes your training ground. It sharpens your resilience, deepens your focus, and teaches you how to walk alone without falling apart. Too many people fall apart because they keep broadcasting their pain. They're looking for someone else to rescue them, to fix them, to understand them. But listen, no one can save you like you can save yourself. No one can build your strength the way silence can. When you stop looking for someone to carry your pain and start carrying it with courage, that's when you start becoming unbreakable. Your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that not every battle needs to be shared. Not every struggle needs an audience. Some things are meant to grow in private. Just like a seed grows underground before it ever breaks through the surface, your strength is being developed in the quiet, in the moments no one sees. Let your success speak for you. Let your growth reveal the battles you've conquered. You don't need to explain your pain to be powerful. You just need to use it quietly, steadily, wisely. And when the time comes, the world will see the results without ever needing to know the story behind them. That's how strength is built, in silence, in solitude, and in self-control. People will use your weakness against you. This world isn't always kind. As much as we want to believe that people will treat us with compassion, the hard truth is, not everyone has good intentions. Some people will smile in your face, act like they care, pretend they understand, but the moment you hand them your vulnerability, they pocket it like ammunition. They may not use it right away, but the day you slip, the day things go wrong, the day you're at your lowest, that's when they strike. Your weakness becomes their weapon. The things you told them in trust are now used in whispers, gossip, judgment, or even betrayal. This is why silence is your strength. This is why you must be wise with your words and selective with your circle. Because not everyone who listens is there to support you. Some are simply collecting data. Some are waiting for you to fall so they can say, I knew it. They don't want to help you rise. They just want a front row seat to your breakdown. You need to understand this. When you expose your struggles to the wrong people, you're giving them power over your narrative. You're letting them define your story based on your weakest moments. And they won't always tell it with grace. Some will twist it. Some will exaggerate it. Some will even celebrate it. And that's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to protect yourself. Not everyone deserves access to your inner battles. Your pain is sacred. Your struggle is personal. Your healing is not public property. Learn to guard your soul like a fortress. Learn to protect your peace like it's gold. Because it is. When you give your weakness to people who don't value your worth, you risk being misjudged, misunderstood, and misrepresented. But when you stay quiet, composed, and grounded, you remain in control. You choose what you reveal, when you reveal it, and to whom. That doesn't mean you can't ever talk to anyone, but choose wisely. Trust should be earned, not handed out like candy. Share your heart only with those who have proven they can handle it with care, and even then, share in doses, with discernment. Some of the most powerful people in this world are not the loudest. They're the ones who move in silence, fight in private, and grow in the shadows. Why? Because they know the truth. The world doesn't need to see your wounds to respect your strength. They just need to see how you rise. So protect your story. Don't give people the script to your downfall. Let them see the transformation, not the struggle. Let them wonder how you made it, not why you fell. Because when you refuse to hand over your weakness, you remain powerful, unshakable, and free. Let them see your strength. Keep your weakness guarded. Let them see your strength, not your struggle. The world doesn't need to see how many nights you cried, how many times you were broken, or how close you came to giving up. What the world needs to see is that you stood tall anyway. that you kept going, that no matter how hard life hit you, you didn't fold, you didn't quit. You rose. Too many people are looking for sympathy. Too many are broadcasting their pain, thinking that validation will heal them. But here's the truth. Validation doesn't fix wounds. Discipline, focus, and silence do. You don't need to explain yourself to the world. You need to outgrow it. People may never understand the depths of your pain, and that's okay. They weren't meant to. That journey was yours and yours alone, but they will respect the results of your resilience. They will admire the strength you built in silence. And that admiration will come not because you told them your weakness, but because you showed them your strength. Every scar you carry tells a story, but it's not a story you owe to anyone. You are not obligated to put your pain on display for applause. You are not required to bleed in public to be seen as real. Sometimes, the realest people are the quietest. The strongest are the ones who suffer in silence, rebuild themselves in private, and walk into the light like they were never broken. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them be amazed by how calm you stayed in the chaos, how composed you were under pressure, how you walked through the fire and didn't smell like smoke. That is strength. That is power. When you stop telling people your weakness, you stop giving them control, you shift the energy. You take ownership of your story, and you begin to understand that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves to know how hard it was for you. Because truthfully, most don't care. And the ones who do already know, without you having to say a word. There's a difference between being open and being vulnerable to the wrong eyes. Your vulnerability should be sacred, not currency for attention. Share your journey when it's healed, not when it's bleeding. Let your life be the testimony, not the tragedy. So rise in silence, work in silence, heal in silence, and then shine so brightly that they have no choice but to notice. Let your success be your voice. Let your peace be your revenge. Let your strength speak for itself. You owe no one your pain, but you owe yourself your power. Never forget that. Let them see your growth, your greatness, your grace, but not your wounds. That's how legends are made. Quiet storms, silent fighters, unbreakable spirits. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this message, but the truth within it echoes far beyond these words. In a society that rewards oversharing and thrives on exposure, choosing to keep parts of your life private is no longer just a preference. It's an act of self-preservation. It's not about being secretive or distant. It's about recognizing that your inner world is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. It's about understanding that your strength doesn't always need to be seen to be real. Too often we feel the pressure to explain ourselves, to justify our silence, our struggles, or our choices. But the reality is, you owe no one that explanation. Silence is not a weakness. It is a strategy. It is wisdom. It is a declaration that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to announce it to feel valid. You see, when you learn to guard your weakness, you stop giving others the keys to your peace. When you preserve your power, you stop bleeding energy into people and places that drain you. And when you choose silence over exposure, you start building something unshakable within. A core of strength that no applause can give and no criticism can take away. Not everyone needs to know what you're going through. Not everyone deserves to be updated on your journey, because while some people may appear supportive, they're silently rooting for your failure. That's the world we live in. That's the reality many don't want to face, but must. So here's your reminder. You are allowed to keep things to yourself. You are allowed to protect your process. You are allowed to move in silence. Not because you're hiding, but because you're building, healing, growing. Rise. Your transformation doesn't need an audience. Your progress doesn't need a post. Let your success whisper through your actions. Let your peace speak louder than your pain. And let your silence protect the parts of you that are still healing. Remember, what you protect grows. What you expose too soon often gets damaged before it's fully formed. You wouldn't pull a plant out of the soil to prove it's growing. You let it rise when it's ready. Do the same with your life. Tend to it, water it, nurture it in silence. And when the time is right, the world will see the strength that was built in the shadows. They'll witness the confidence that was cultivated in your solitude. They'll be inspired by the power you developed, not by talking, but by transforming. So walk forward with your head held high and your peace intact. Let them wonder how you keep winning. Let them guess how you stay grounded, but don't let them insight unless they've earned the right to be there. Final words. You don't need the world to understand your silence. You just need to trust its purpose. Speak less, move smarter, protect more, and watch how powerful you become.